Finally, look at this problem here, 4.4 into 46.2. Now remember, this problem is the same as this problem. Okay, those two problems are exactly the same. Now, this is the divisor. This is the dividend. So the same thing is true here. Divisor, dividend. Okay? We cannot have decimals in the divisor before we start dividing. Okay? You cannot have decimals in your divisor. Okay? We sort of talked about this. We touched on it yesterday at the end of class. Okay? We have to take that decimal and move it out of the number. In this particular number, we have to move it one space or one spot. Okay? But what we do on the outside, we must also do on the inside. Okay? And so we really now have 44 into 462. Okay? Now it's just like we did yesterday on the board. You simply divide the number 44 into 462. Well, 44 goes into 46 one time. Be 44, remainder 2, bring down your 2. Does 44 go into 22? No. So I have to record a 0 above my 2. Okay, now I'm going to put our decimal back and add a 0. And I'm going to bring that 0 down into that number. Now we have 44 into 220. And I bring up my decimal. Okay, remember, we just bring it straight up. All right, now we have 44 into 220. Okay, how many times does 44 go into 220? Well, I'll give you a little hint. This will help you. How many times does 4 go into 22? 5 times. So let's try 5. Okay, 5 times 4 is 0. Carry my 2. 5 times 4 is 20 plus 2, 220. So our answer then is 10.5. Okay. Now, what if we had this problem? 2.6 divided by 0.32. Okay. 2.6 divided by 0.32. All right, so that means when we write it with the bracket, we have 0.32 on the inside, 2.6 on the 0.32 on the outside, and then we have 0.6 on the inside. 2.6. Wow, I'm having trouble today. Okay, now can't start because I have a decimal in my divisor, so I got to move it once, twice to the right. If I just move it once, I still have 3.2. That's why I have to move it twice. Okay, because now I have same thing on the inside, once, twice. So that gives me 32 into 260. And there's where my decimal's at. Okay, so the decimal in the 32 is right there. Okay, we've taken it out of the number. It's now a whole number. Okay. Inside, you may have a whole number or you may have a decimal number once you move it. Okay, either way, it's okay. You can have decimals on the inside. It's just on the outside that we can't have decimals. Okay? So now, I just divide. Does 32 go into 26? No. Goes 0 times. Goes 0 times, obviously, into 2. 32 into 260. 7 times? 8 times? 9 times? 10 times? Obviously, they can go 10 times. What do you think? 8 times? Let's try 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Carry my 1. 8 times 3 is 24 plus 1, 256. And that gives me a remainder of what? 4. Bring up my decimal, add a 0. Bring it down. 32 into 40. One time, be 32, remainder 8, add another 0, bring it down. 32 into 80. No. 3 times would be 96. Twice, yeah. 2 times be 64. That would give me a remainder of 16. Bring down another 0. 32 into 160. Remember, you can do the same thing. If you look at that digit, look at the first 2 digits. 3 goes into 16 how many times? 5 times. So let's try 5. 5 times 2 is 10. Carry my 1. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 1, 16. So, 8.125. Okay, so on that one we had to add 3 zeros and bring them down. Emma. Yep. Yeah, because if I moved it to the left, for example, if I took that same problem, we had 0.32 into 2.6. If I move it this way, I just have to add zeros, and it just increases the amount of places I have behind the decimal. So if you don't move it right, then you're just going to increase the decimal number, and that's obviously not what we're looking to do. All right? Other questions? Other questions? Staley? No, you always move it. In other words, if you have, let's say you have 0.3 here, and on the inside you have 1.678. Okay? You move the decimal one place here, you move it one place there. So that would give me 3 into 16.78. Okay, so you can still have that decimal inside. Doesn't matter if there's 5, 6 behind the decimal inside, it's what's on the outside. Now, once again, if we had, let's say we had this, let's say we had 0.3 into 162. Okay? There's no decimal in there. You go once here, but there is a decimal, we just don't put it. It's right there. And so we'd have to go once here and add a 0, and so that would be 3 into 1,620. So that answer your question? Okay. Okay, the last one I want to try here, or want to do, not try. Obviously, I'm not trying these, I'm doing them. 6.7204 divided by 0.16. Now remember, that 0 in front of our decimal doesn't have any effect on the number. It's still just, just 0. All right. So 6.7204 divided by 0.16. So if I put that in my bracket, I have that right there. So we have to move it once, twice. That gives me 16. Move it once, twice. Gives me 672.04. Okay. So then I take 16 into 67. How many times does 16 go into 67? Not everybody at once. How many times? 5 times. Let's see. No, too much. 4 times. Yeah, 4 times. 4 would be 64. Remainder 3. Bring down my 2. Okay, 16 into 32. 2 times. Be 32. Remainder 0. Bring up my decimal. Bring down my 0. 16 into 0. Now, some of you say, well, I got a 0 remainder. Can I stop? No, you can't stop because you still have that 4 we got to get to. Okay? And so it goes 0 times. Bring down my 4. 16 into 4. 0 times. Put it above the 4. Add a 0. Bring it down. 16 into 40. Two times. Be 32. Remainder 8. Add another 0. Bring it down. 16 into 80, we said goes how many times, Brandon? 5 times. So, 42.0025. And that's your answer. Okay. Any questions? I'll remind you that we don't use calculators in this class, so don't go home tonight and whip out your trusty little calculator and, I'll just divide these on that. Okay? Because your little trusty calculator won't be able to be used on a test. Okay? So, here's your homework. I'm going to go ahead and turn you loose. We still got almost 30 minutes left in class. Okay, we have 7.5. We're going to do 8 through 23. Make sure that's right. Now let's do this. I'm going to shave some of that off. I know that's going to break your heart that I'm going to cut some problems off, but y'all be okay. Nobody cry if you need to cry because I'm cutting these problems off. There's Kleenex back there. 8 through 19. Okay, so that's 12 problems. Okay, no crying. All right, so go ahead and get to work. Like I said, we got almost 30 minutes left in class, really 25 minutes left in class. That way, if you have questions, you can ask. But obviously, I think I did number 8 to start you off, so it should be fairly simple to do the first one.